Tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes will be at home taking on the Philadelphia Flyers in a game that will more than likely see the return of Pyotr Kochetkov in net for the Hurricanes. Find out what the Hurricanes need to do to come away with the win in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Thursday afternoon. And today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over at FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. And tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes are taking on the Philadelphia Flyers at home. And shortly after yesterday's episode was posted, the Carolina Hurricanes recalled goaltender Pyotr Kochetkov on an emergency basis. Episode hadn't even been up 5 minutes, and then that happens. But we're going to talk about it today. And this does signal that Ronta's injury may take a little bit more time than we thought. I remember, whenever he went out, left leg seemed a bit tender. And, Brind'amour said that he and Chatfield both, it was more precautionary. It wasn't bad. But neither Ronta or Chatfield were on ice this morning at practice. So, they're going to miss at least tonight's game. And we will see, heading into the weekend against Vegas, what happens there, if these guys will be back, if they just need to sit, because especially at this point in time when we're getting ready to push for the playoffs, pretty much if they're not 100% ready to go, they're not gonna be playing. And also we'll talk about it more when we go over Don Waddell's trade deadline press conference later on today. He did say in that no goaltender was going to start in back-to-back games. We have one coming up, I believe, next weekend. But back-to-back games, goaltender isn't going to start. They want to really rest these players as much as possible. So I definitely see, Chatfield and Ronta are going to be out as long as they need. Thankfully, we have depth. We can, we'll be okay. And that's really good, because in years past, that hadn't been the case, where the Hurricanes, were going down the stretch and, they got nothing. But now we do. And, you still got, if something happens, in terms of forward, you got guys down in Chicago that can be ready to go. You still have Dylan Coghlan and Calvin DeHaan here at the NHL level. Then you have more defensemen down there like Max Lajoie. You have those guys there ready to go. And now we have Pyotr up here. We have the depth. We're going to be okay. So big thing, guys, don't freak out about these guys being out. We got the depth. We're going to be okay. It's not like, we're suiting up, half an AHL team, in an NHL level game. That's not the case. We'll be okay. But a big thing, with this game is, the Hurricanes are coming off that win against the Montreal Canadiens, in which, in my opinion, they got lucky and they really snuck away with that win. And now they're looking for their fourth straight win here tonight against Philly. I do think the Hurricanes are fully capable of getting that win. Don't get me wrong, but if they want that win, they really got to clean up the mistakes they were making there in Montreal, especially through those first 40 minutes where it was the exact opposite of what we had been seeing in those games against Tampa and Arizona. They really got to clean up, come out ready to go, and have better puck management, better passes, not take as many penalties. The list goes on. Pretty much everything they did right in those games against Tampa and Arizona, they did wrong in that game against Montreal. But one thing is with this game is something I always say whenever we play divisional opponents is that it doesn't matter where Philly's record is. It doesn't matter where their standing is. They are currently at Philly is currently at 24, 29, and 11 and 59 points and 7th in the Metro Division, coming off of a 5-2 loss to Tampa on Tuesday. But that doesn't matter because we have seen countless times between Metropolitan Division teams, records don't matter. It doesn't matter that the Hurricanes are 42, 12, and 8 with 92 points in first in the Metro. That doesn't matter because these Metro teams, they're going to play each other extremely, extremely hard. Yeah, Philly has had an off year, but you look at both of the previous meetings that, the Hurricanes have won this year. Saturday, October 29th, went to OT. Burns scored the overtime winner in Philly. Canes won that 4-3. Friday, December 23rd, Philly had a 3-goal period there in the third, and the Hurricanes were able to hold on and win 6-5. Like, these games have been really close this year. So it doesn't matter where Philly is. It doesn't matter where the Hurricanes are in the standings. This is going to be a very tough, hard-hitting, hard-fought game. Very much, the Hurricanes are going to have to come out ready to fight the way they did in the third period and overtime in the shootout against Montreal. They're going to have to bring that attitude, and because Philly, they don't care that the Hurricanes are Stanley Cup contenders. They're coming in to beat the crap out of them, and that's going to be something that the Hurricanes, they really got to be on it tonight, because I really have a feeling that if Philly smells blood in the water like a shark, I know we're not playing the Sharks, but they smell blood in the water, they're going to go after it and they're not going to let up. And that's something that the Hurricanes really need to be aware of tonight. And all those mistakes that they're making in Montreal, they really, really got to take care of it and be on their A game tonight. And they have had guys that have been on their A game as of late. I know, again, Montreal, we're going to say that game was a bit of an outlier. We're going to kind of look at the big picture as of late. And we've had a lot of guys that have been on their A game as of late. And we'll dive into that along with projected or lineup predictions, as it has not been officially announced as of 11:30 in the morning. We'll dive into all of that right after this quick break, folks. Now, if you're wanting to place a bet on tonight's game, Saturday's game, FanDuel is the place to do it, folks. And if you're wanting to place a bet on a Hornets game, a Lakers game, a Bulls game, again, FanDuel is the place to do it. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to points scored and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That's fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, folks, diving back into tonight's game, as I said, the Hurricanes are going to have guys be on their A game tonight. And Montreal will count that as an outlier. They have had guys be on their A game as of late. While his game-winning goal didn't necessarily count towards his point total, Jesper Kotkaniemi, 13 points in 13 games. He is absolutely killing it. You remember he had that 5-point game a few nights ago as well. So he's really killing it. He's at 30 points already for the season. He has passed last year's point total. He's really on a roll. He's really feeling himself. He's feels like he's really like coming into his own as the Hurricanes' second line center. It was a decision that like not a lot of people were really on board with, and thinking, oh, he's in over his head, it's too much for him, yada yada yada. But he is really come into his own. He's doing really well right now. And he's 4 points away from tying his career high. And on top of all that, this is his 300th career game tonight. So it's going to be big night for him. And he's really rolling right now. So I could see him, if he gets going, they're just going to keep feeding him, because why wouldn't you? We say it all the time with goalies, ride the hot set of hands. And yes, he's rolling right now. If he gets going tonight, just feed him the puck. Just feed him until it doesn't work anymore. It's that simple. It really, really is. And, not only is he rolling, the Hurricanes' blue line is ridiculous this season. This was something I didn't realize just how high of a level they were producing this season until, I was getting ready for this episode, is that they have produced a league leading 42 goals in 62 games so far this season. And I didn't realize it was that high. And our blue line is producing at a really high level. You look at that game against Montreal, he wasn't scoring goals, but Brett Pesce was a vital part in two of those goals, setting up the goals that were eventually scored. And these guys are really playing a vital role in the offense of the team. That's why this team is scoring as many goals as they are. They're averaging as many shots as they are. Again, I didn't realize, I knew they were like producing at a high level. I just didn't realize it was as high as it is. And not only is that the case, mentioning Jesper Kotkaniemi, but Montreal aside, as a whole, it feels that this team they're finally like clicking fully. And what I mean by that is, look at the power play in those past couple games. Yeah, things didn't go the way in Montreal, and we knew that. We knew the power play wasn't going to, be operating at a 78% success rate, for long term. We knew that. We all knew that. But it finally feels like a threat. And that's the biggest thing. That's what I've been saying since the Shane trade, and we've seen it, get to this level. It feels like a threat. And it really feels like, all right, now we got everything in place. Our top six absolutely rolling. After that switch was made, Teravainen and Svechnikov was flipped. Its top six has been crazy. You look at the third line; it's been arguably the most consistent line all season long for the Hurricanes. Fourth line, look at that game against Montreal, how big of a load they were pulling. They were probably the Hurricanes' best line in that game. We just talked about the defenseman and the offensive load that they're pulling right now in a good way. It's not like they have to, but they are. And not only are they doing that, as a whole, they've been really good as defensemen too. And then you have the goaltending with Freddie Anderson, Antti Raanta, and Pyotr Kochetkov as well. It feels like the Hurricanes finally got it all. Penalty kill has also been outstanding for the large majority of the season. Now the power play, it feels like it's a threat finally. And they do that, they can win this game. they can win the next game. They can keep winning, and they can really make a push in the playoffs, and that's gonna be really, really big for the Hurricanes. Now, yeah, and the penalty kill itself, it is tied for second in the NHL with Winnipeg behind only the Boston Bruins. It's the Hurricanes, they're it finally feels like, all right, now they're truly well-rounded. They were well-rounded, but the power play, you know? And now it feels like they got it all, and they're ready to go on that run. They're ready to make that push. And, with tonight's game, looking at guys that are going to be in the lineup, guys that aren't going to be in the lineup. For Philly, Tony DeAngelo, he ain't going to be in the lineup. That's fine. He's serving his suspension for spearing Corey Perry the other night. So no welcome back package for him. Oh, actually, I think he may have. Had they already played here? I think they may have. Anyway, doesn't matter. But we're here for the Hurricanes, and that's what we care about. And at practice this morning, again, no Antti Ranta, no Jalen Chatfield. Those guys weren't there. And Pyotr Kochetkov, he was in the starters crease tonight. And that's kind of what I figured whenever I saw he was recalled on that emergency basis yesterday evening, because of how they're wanting to rest the goalies and really take care of them down this stretch. I kind of figured it was going to be Piotr tonight, and with because we also don't, as of recording right now, we don't know how long Antti Ranta is going to be out. Could just be tonight. Could be ready to go come Saturday. He very well could be, but we gotta wait till Saturday to get to that. So, you know, I fully expected him to be the guy tonight, and I think if he's going to be here for more than 1 or 2 games, this is probably a good game to come back in because as I do say, yeah, you can't really count any Metro team out when they play each other. I'd rather his first game be against Philly in Vegas. It just in terms of the team, like as a whole on paper, I'd rather him play Philly, but he's gonna have his work cut out for sure. Either way, but we know he's up to the task, and a big thing with that, also, will we see Jesse Puljujarvi tonight? No, we're not going to, and I think we'll see his debut Saturday. That's when we're gonna see it. I'm pretty confident in that. Barring something crazy tonight, it'll be on Saturday. He was practicing alongside Dylan Coghlan this morning. This was also his first practice with the team, so just I don't see that happening. I think Shane Gostisbehere, he was an exception to that, and Puljujarvi, yeah, I think he's gonna, because also he hadn't played in a while as well. It's been over a week since he's even played or practiced, so they're kind of gonna want to get him up to speed and get him ready to go. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. It's not like we need him. We're in desperate need of him to be out there. So the Hurricanes can take their time, get him ready to go, and be certain, like, all right, you know, practice tomorrow. All right, he's gonna be alongside, whoever, and be ready. That's my biggest thing. I want him to be ready. And Pyotr Kochetkov, he looks like he's gonna be ready today. And so obviously with Coghlan being an extra guy, yet again, that means we're going to see Calvin Hahn and Shane Gostisbehere tonight. But we're going to dive into the projected lineup now. And I don't see this one being super, super crazy. Again, no Puljujarvi. More than likely, it's going to be Pyotr Kochetkov. We're going to see Calvin Hahn tonight. But as far as the rest of the guys, it's not going to be anything crazy. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're going to look to see if a projected lineup has been put out by now, and it Has not. So we're just gonna read the lineup from the Montreal game because again, I see that pretty much being the lineup for tonight. Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, Teravainen, Kotkaniemi, Natchez, Martinook, Stahl, Foss, Neeson, Stastny, Stepan. Again, no Puljujarvi tonight. We're not gonna see that. As fun as it would be, I mean, home game. He get a large reaction, but that'll be on Saturday for the Hurricanes when they take on Vegas. And then on the defensive side of things, that's where we're going to see our changes. Slavin Burns, Shea Pesci, and then it'll be Goss Despair and DeHaan. That's what that's going to be tonight. And that's going to be a very interesting pairing to watch uh, because we all know how good Chatfield's been alongside Ghost. So it'll be fun to see how things slot in with DeHaan. And it'll be really fun. I think that's gonna be a fun pairing to watch tonight. I think, we could be saying some good things about that pairing tomorrow, but, we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one. And then again, in goal, it's likely going to be Pyotr Kochetkov with Freddie Anderson backing up. And I'm fine with that. Again, I would is he's going to have a tough game, but I'd rather it be this game against Philly than the game against Vegas. But we still have keys to the game to get to tonight for tonight's game. It's not tonight yet. It's only 11:42 in the morning. But we do have to get into the keys to the game, and we will do that right after this quick break, folks. All right, folks. Now we are back, and now it's time to dive into the keys of the game. Fine. And again, we have multiple keys to the game. Usually I kind of limit to 3, but we have 4. I did have 5 wrote down just in case, but we saw our updates from practice with that one key that we're not going to worry about of easing Yessi Puljujarvi in. It's not going to play tonight. That's going to be more for Friday, or excuse me, Saturday now. And like I said before, with that, of just slot him in on the 4th line, really work with him, ease him into it. But again, that's for Saturday. So now, first and foremost, score first. I know it seems cliche, but as we mentioned the other day against the when we were previewing the Montreal game, the Hurricanes didn't score first, so that stat is pretty much the same. That they have scored first in a league leading 40 times, or 32, 4, and 4 in those games. All that still applies here, especially as I said, of how tough these teams are going to be playing each other tonight. Really want to get out ahead of it. Don't play from behind because we've seen it countless times. They just get themselves in a hole and they really struggle to get out of it. They got lucky in Montreal of being able to get out of that hole. That's not a guarantee for every night. Just get out ahead of it first and just don't let off the gas. That's my next thing is don't let off the gas. We talked about how close the previous meetings again have been 4-3 in overtime, 6-5 with a 3-goal period from Philly. The previous 2 games have been really, really close this season. So don't let off the pressure. Don't let them have a 3-goal period again. So that's going to be really important for the Hurricanes tonight as well, in my opinion, of keeping that pressure on, scoring first, getting out to that early lead, and just keep the momentum on their side. Let the Hurricanes have the momentum in this game because that game against Montreal had that momentum for, in my opinion, over 40 minutes. It wasn't really until the back half of the 3rd period that the Hurricanes really got any momentum. They're just, like we said, doing just enough to stay in it throughout that game. And, one thing I would really like to see going from that game against Montreal, power play wasn't there. It did not look like a threat. So in tonight's game, I would definitely really like to see the power play bounce back some. Again, I'm not expecting, operating at a 78% success rate, but as I kept saying, I want to see it look like a threat. I want to see it be like, all right, they're getting something going here, and that's a big thing for me tonight. I wanted that power play to be a threat. Obviously, with how good it's been as a whole as of late, I'd like a power play goal, but big thing is be a threat. Gain momentum and have momentum, on the power play. That's going to be big. Be able to make those pushes, get the pucks in, create good shots on goal. That's key there. Don't, as I've said many, many times, shoot to score. Don't just shoot to shoot. That's going to be big here tonight. And they do that. I think they'll be good. But, with Pyotr Kochetkov being likely the starting goalie tonight, a big thing with that is, something we talked about yesterday in Wolves Wednesday is I want him to keep his temper in check. Giving you don't have D'Angelo tonight, but you do have Lemieux there on the Flyers. And of course, other NHL players, but those guys they have that reputation. So, you know, don't let guys, for him, keep his temper in check. Don't let guys get the better of him and keep that in check. It's going to be really big tonight. And I do have a feeling that whenever he got into Raleigh and had his meeting with team and all that, I definitely have a feeling that Rod Brind'amour and company made that clear of like, hey, you gotta keep it in check, and you can't be trying to fight or anything like that. I really have a feeling that was probably addressed already. At this point, it definitely has been addressed, considering they've already practiced and met and everything. So that's going to be big tonight. Of him keeping his temper in check, not letting Flyers players get to him. That's going to be very important tonight. Because we all know how good of a player he is and how good of a goalie he is. We all know that. But, wanted that temper to stay in check tonight. And as we mentioned yesterday, I don't feel that that's going to be a long-term issue. As we said, he's 23 years old. It's been a maturity thing there. And as he gets older, likely see growing out of it. Don't see him being like Jordan Bennington or anything like that. So I think he'll be okay. But again, as of where we stand right now, on March 3rd, or excuse me, not March 3rd, March 9th, 2023, he does need to keep his emotions in check. Keep that temper under control. Don't let the Flyers push him around by any means, but don't get ejected from the game either. That's important tonight. Don't get ejected from the game. But if they do all that, as well as other things I've mentioned throughout the episode, I think they're going to be in really good shape for tonight against the Flyers. Be able to extend that lead in the Metro. That's going to be really key now because we've said it before. You look at the way other teams loaded up in the Eastern Conference, but Metro, especially the Rangers and the Devils especially, because they're right on the Hurricanes' heels. The Hurricanes really need to come away with 2 points here tonight and be able to extend that lead in the Metro. They do all that. They stick to those keys of the game. Power play is looking good. Defense is looking good. Blue lines, doing what they have been doing. Top six is playing at the level they have been as of late. Bottom six, doing the same thing. Again, there feels like they're finally firing on all cylinders. And Tampa and Arizona, that's what they really are capable of when they're firing on all cylinders. Montreal, I'm saying that's just a bump in the road, but we got to get to tonight's game tonight against Philly. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. I think it's going to be chippy, and it's going to be a tough win. The Hurricanes, they're going to have to earn this one. It's not going to be a cakewalk or anything like that. This is going to be a tough one. It really is. It's going to be on par, with those previous two meetings. I feel we're going to be looking like that. And if you guys are going to the game, enjoy it tonight. And I will talk to you guys in tomorrow's episode where we recap this game. And let's hope that it's a good recap, folks. I don't want to have another one like Montreal, really being upset with some of the stuff. But as always, make sure you are following the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes and myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. And as always, let's go Canes.